Welcome to She Loves the Grid, where we discuss all things F1. Whether it's happening on the track, in the paddock, or beyond the grid, we'll talk about it all. And welcome back. Here we are. She Loves the Grid. I'm Claire.
I'm Diane.
And wow.
I know. This season, that race.
This season, I in the way I posted, I was trying to not be too ostentatious in posting and I heard so much toward the end of last season, the beginning of this season of oh, it's just, why would you watch F1? It's so boring. It's like the same thing over and over. We have had an increasingly more exciting season every race, it seems.
Yes, we are 6 drivers, different drivers, in 12 races that have won. We have 2 teams now that have both of their drivers have won a race. So it's really exciting. And I mean, at least one of those teams probably, then we'd have 3 drivers. Like Oscar, I think, is due to win a race anytime now. But I think not only that, but I said that my brother-in-law texted and said, oh, what a strong race. And I said, the stories from this season, and I know we've talked about this in the past, but it's like Carlos winning a week after he has his appendix out, Lando in his first win, Charles winning Monaco. Now we've got Lewis winning at his home race. Like this, and that's just the tip of the iceberg, because I think there's so many other stories, but it's like, who would have ever thought that this season would be like this? These are all epic stories.
Epic. And who would have thought that Max would be in a position where he is actually having to compete?
Yeah.
He's having to work.
Yeah.
And I love it. This is good. All right, well, let's get into it. So with silly season.
Oof, silly season. Well, first of all, I'm just going to say, yay, Ollie Behrman was signed by Haas with a multi-year deal. I was not expecting the multi-year deal. We said a couple podcasts ago that it was going to be announced at Silverstone because that is his home race. And sure enough, they announced it Friday morning before he did FP1. I was not expecting it to be multi-year, but as we've said in previous episodes, it seems like almost every driver is signing a multi-year. And maybe it makes sense with the new regulations coming in 2026, but the majority of them are signing multi-year deals. So, woo, Ollie, I'm so excited.
When I saw that news and I sent it to you, and I'm like, you're going to be so happy because it's so early here in Europe. I was like, oh my gosh.
I was so excited for him. I think what's interesting is who is going to be paired up with him, right? Because it doesn't sound like it's going to be Kevin Magnussen. But the team principal came out and said they don't want to pair up another rookie or somebody who doesn't have a lot of experience. They want a race winner next to him. But then I'm hearing it's Ocon. And I'm like, Ocon is not somebody who's going to come in and teach, in my opinion. Don't get mad. Like I like Esteban off the track. On the track, he's a menace most of the time. And I just don't think that he's somebody that's going to come in and be a leader and teach Ollie. Ollie in a few years should be going to Ferrari. He comes from their academy. We know Lewis and Charles are tied up for the next couple of years. So that's probably his next step. I don't think Esteban's a person to come in and do that. Somebody like a Valtteri Bottas, yes, 100%. There's probably some other people that, that could come in and be a good partner. But that'll be interesting. We've still got to fill that other seat, though.
Yep. And then you had Checo. The rumors were on him. And we already had, last week, they're talking about Danny and now Checo. But Danny the other way.
Yeah. Last week, and they were saying Danny was going to be gone. But now they're saying that Checo is going to be gone this season. And I'll tell you why in a second. And then they're going to actually promote Daniel up to the Red Bull team to partner with Max, which would leave then Yuki, and then they bring up Liam Lawson, right, to the V-Carb team. So here's the deal with Checo. And, we'll talk about this, but this weekend he's not helping himself at all. But there are clauses, and this came out when he signed, I think the one that contract he's part of now, is that he cannot be more than 100 points behind Max. I think after today, I saw he's 137 points behind him.
Yes,
So
you're
by
correct.
Belgium, which we've got Hungary, then probably the break, and then is it Belgium and then Monza? Anyways,
Yeah.
by Belgium, he cannot be more than 100 points behind Max, and he can't be more than 5 places behind Max in the World Driver Championship. And we know he lost a spot after today. So it's quite possible that he is on that bubble. I can't imagine signing a multi-year contract and then losing your seat in the same.
In a few months, in a matter of like 3 months.
Yes, exactly. It's nuts. Absolutely nuts. Ay. And then Alpine, well, we still don't have a spot for signed yet, although he said after this race, he wanted to do it after the 3 back-to-back races.
And it is almost 10 p.m. Silverstone's time while we're recording, and I just Googled and nothing.
Yeah, so, I don't think they would say anything today. I think it will be sometime maybe this week if he's going to do it. So we don't know if he's going to Alpine. We know that Jack Doohan, who's the backup driver at Alpine, and Mick Schumacher did a test. It was a private test, and Alpine will not comment on it. So we have no idea if they are really in part of the mix. Again, like we said last week, Sainz could have already signed with somebody, and we're just waiting till after this race to, get an update. But one more seat is filled. Haas has. So now we just have one seat open at a lot of teams.
Well, let's get into the fun stuff, the liveries, lids, and everything. So let's get going.
Oh, I love this one. Okay, so if you're not in
yeah. We're showing some pictures.
Lots of pictures, but oh my gosh. Remember last year's Williams, their Union Jack livery was so amazing. It was one of my favorites, like top 2 last year. And they came back this year with another one. But this time, the Union Jack flag is made up of all of their team members. I think it's 1,005 names. I don't know. We posted about it, but it's beautiful. It looks so good on track. It looked great.
I love it. I love it, like, because they're the ones, right, that last year they put the names of like some of the fans, right? So I like the personalization that they're doing, which is really cool.
I think it's great, and it's their home race, and so why not put your team members, everybody who works at the factory, everybody who works for the team, onto this car? Like, what a great tribute.
Yeah, it's so awesome. Sorry for the happy fingers. I was just clicking my screen going to this is adorable.
I love it. I think that's Moo Moo. So Alex Albon, he launched a whole line, actually. He is continuing to pump out the merch. And so if you don't know, Alex Albon and his family, they have a ton of pets. Most of their pets have 2 names. So I always have a hard time keeping up with who's who. But he launched a whole line with different caricatures or cartoons of his pets. And I believe this is Moo Moo, his cat. And it's Moo Moo's Golf Club is what that merch is. And it's so stinking cute. I just love it. He and his girlfriend walked in wearing some of the merch into Silverstone this week, but too cute. Look at the face on that cat.
On his head trying to put it on. It's so cute.
I love that. I still love his matte colors. Oh, and Fernando. I love that.
I should have put a picture of the bus because they had one of those, the London buses, and they had the helmet on top of it, and they had drove it down the street and pulled the cape off. There's a video on their Twitter of that where they revealed his helmet, which was kind of cool.
Yes. And I just think, like, what a great marketing. I mean, Boss is one of their sponsors, and I mean, this is a sharp looking helmet, honestly. Yeah. What a great marketing crossover. I think that's amazing. Nice.
Very sleek, very, very, it just breathes Boss. It really does.
Yeah, it does. Love it.
I love it. Oh my gosh. I love these. My nerd heart. People don't know I'm a nerd. I got lots of computers, D&D video games, whatnot. This just spoke to my heart. I love this from Lando, and I love that the way they did the videos that they and the way it's made that they animate when they spin them. It's so cool.
Yes.
They move. It's so cool.
It's so cool. And I love that Lando always does seem to kind of be pushing the envelope, right? Like you said, to have the videos moving and the little figures moving, and it's got, you know, his LN, and it was moving. And I mean, and I love the colors. And to me, it's kind of like Lando. I love his helmets that are kind of busy, if you will, right? Like every little area is covered, but it all has a purpose. Nice.
That's so cool. So cool. And good marketing. It's Android and whatnot. Very good marketing.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, this one is gorgeous. The show. I love the Z.
I love it. Again, if you're not watching on our YouTube, the colors, the blue, the red, like you said, the Z, that's part of it. He kept the rabbit or the ears, you know, and he kept the top. He's got that pattern on the top. I don't know what you call it. I'm sure it says something, but I can't remember what it says. But I mean, okay. You all know that I think Joe has got some major style, and he designs these. Like, he has a specific aesthetic that he aims for, and he nailed it. Love it.
They did. The colors are just amazing. He's got a great eye. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's style in itself.
Yeah, great eye, and it just ties in all the colors of, you know, the Britain, the red, the white, the blue. It's amazing.
Another one, we've got Pierre Gasly.
Pierre. Yeah. So this, I think, is his favorite football club. And I think he opened it today, and it had all the signatures on it, or of the team. His favorite.
That's so sweet.
PSG or whatever. I don't know. Yeah, very cool. Because didn't they just play France in the Euro Cup?
Yeah, I think so.
I don't remember if they won or not, but I know oh no, I think they did, because I think they posted a video and his team was playing his girlfriend's team, and I think France won. So, so yeah, very nice, very, very nice, very timely.
And then I thought this was great, where Haas sent the two helmets out on a tour of London. I thought was the best picture.
It's so cute. And it's more of a cricket theme. So a lot of other drivers were either going just like Barry Britain or football. And I think these are both cricket themed. So
I thought it was so cool. Like, we're taking the lids for a trip of London. And Checo has this really cool Silverstone stunner, as Red Bull calls it. I think this is a neat play, the silver checks and whatnot. I thought that was really nice.
I like the blue and the silver checks on the top. Like, that's very cool. And like you said, you didn't see it too much today.
No, I didn't. Red Bull did go out. They did their livery. They red E, I guess they're saying red Y, red E. Anyway.
Yeah. They were a little shady because they had a whole video with somebody in there, I don't know, where the car was being kept, and the person accidentally hit a can of paint that was called Stallion Red. Little shade towards Ferrari there. And supposedly the person kicked the red all over the car. So I don't know. Like,
I missed that. But Dianne does love a theme, and they themed it. They were showing it all out with all they were doing. So I thought this was cute. They showed their theme.
Yes, I love a theme, and yeah, if you're gonna do it, go all the way for it. Do it, and they did.
Oh, well, let's get back to that. Let me close that, and then we're done with all that. So back to us and the race. So where do we start? Well, let's just cover the fact that FP1, there was a large number of rookies out. So there was 4 rookies out in the session.
Yeah, getting some time in. It was Ollie's third out of 6 times. Doing and I mean, we talked about him. He had that private test. He's the reserve driver, and he drove Gasly's car.
When they
And
pointed,
then,
it's so funny. The commentators like, well, because he had the changes and whatnot, and he's starting in P20. He doesn't. There's not going to hurt him losing this practice.
I mean, Pierre, did he drive at all? Like he
No,
didn't
he
even start the
didn't.
race today, and he sat in the during quali. He sat inside the pits, but yeah. So he was in it. Colapinto was in it for Williams, and then poor Hajar.
Oh,
Yay.
my heart broke. My heart broke. This poor kid. I mean, the fine's bad enough, but what I felt was so bad is the commentators like, these kids, they're, they got to make sure they don't build up like a bad reputation, or they want to get like F1 drivers mad at them or whatever. Forget how they worded it, but I was like, oh, this poor kid, because he genuinely made a mistake, and it was not egregious. I think you mentioned that, like, where was the engineer?
Right. Yes. So if you don't know, if you weren't watching practice, um, he received a fine of 20,000 euros. I feel like at first I thought it was pounds, but it might be euros, for impeding Lando in FP1. I mean, it's practice, right? Like, come on. And he's new. Like he's not even, I don't know. It just
Like I
seems
said, it's
silly.
practice. It has no material effect on the rest of the weekend unless there was obviously unless it was
No.
a wreck and not, but like I don't know, maybe there's a scale of impeding, like impeding that could cause a wreck versus just impeding that, you maybe slow down a little bit, like I don't know. But
Yeah.
he did not know the person was, they didn't know it was there. He did not get it. It seems like the engineers didn't say anything to him, and
So yeah, so where's the engineer on that? He should
yeah,
absolutely be talking, and I don't think that he was out there. Most of the time the rookies are just trying to get through a set plan. They're not out there trying to get fast laps in or whatever. They have a set plan of data that the teams are trying to get. So come on. I mean, poor guy. I think Chatty Cathy, aka Helmut Marko, said that's how much he makes in a year, So I'm hoping that Red Bull is covering.
yeah, I'm hoping Red Bull will cover that.
I
Yeah,
hope
I
so.
know we were going to buzz through some of this because there wasn't much else. My biggest takeaway from practice is that we had a red flag in FP1 and FP2, because of the couple of spin outs. And I was a little scared about Piastri when he stopped. His car just stopped, and then they had to push him into the pit lane. That was a little scary. Yeah, but outside of that, it was just the rain,
Yeah. Yeah, rain off and on all weekend. So not too bad. Qualifying, I feel like they thought there was going to be more weather happening, but I don't think it was too crazy. I think the biggest thing is Sergio. I mean, the spin, and I thought it was so interesting because he was not getting out of his car. Like, dude
No,
is desperate right now. Dude is desperate. He's like, I just need a push. And I think his engineer said, no, if they push you, that's a mechanical assistance and you can't rejoin qualifying. And he still sat in his car. And I think he was motioning to the marshals like to push me out on the track. No, his tire was spinning. He was beached. You're not going anywhere. Nice try. I mean, I can imagine. I would be desperate too. I'd be trying anything and everything. But like we said at the beginning, he is just not helping himself at all.
no,
And he's not
not at
helping
all.
the team. Like, that's the thing, is like, think about Ferrari and McLaren and Mercedes, all those teams at the top. They've got two drivers, well, except for Ferrari lately with Charles, but like, you basically have two drivers that are in the mix. You have two drivers that are adding to points. And Checo for the last 5 or 6 races has been nowhere. So it's all on Max to get the points. Like, that's not good.
No, we'll show you when we get to the standings. Like, you can see it in the standings. You can
Yeah.
see, well, Max might still have a marked lead. It's not as clear cut in the constructor. It's
No.
pretty
No.
getting exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. So like we said, Gasly didn't go out at all. So, I mean, his time, I would love to know how much time he spent out on track in total this whole weekend. But both Williams got through to Q2. So
That was exciting.
Logan, amazing. And I thought that Botas, based on practice, would do better, but this was the first time that Zhou outperformed Botas. So he got through to Q2. But
And both Aston Martins were looking good through quality. I saw, to begin with, until we got into Q3. And then I don't like Q3 was actually, Q2 was crazy. Q3 was insane. Like
Q2 was also nuts. But because we got to talk about Q2 for 1 second, is just Charles going out.
Oh, I almost heard you scream from Germany.
Oh, he was not comfortable in the car. He was on a totally different spec than Carlos was. And I think we could see throughout the weekend that Carlos was outperforming him. But I also think he waited too late to go out on track in Q2. And he was out. And Max wasn't even in a place where I was kind of like, is he going to make it through? He was in 9th place for a minute. So, yeah. But Charles was not happy with his tires.
That was part of why do we wait to the last minute? Why do we, this is the kinds of things that fall apart. I know there's a balancing it, but the risk. Many things.
Major, especially I think the track was drying in Q2. You already had Checo go off and get a red flag. If you're down to the last couple minutes, I just don't think you want to be, you don't want a red flag coming up. You don't want another issue.
I mean, they had red flags in FP1 and FP3. I mean, come on, guys. This is not there's a lot of risk.
Yeah, lots of risk. But like you said, Q3 was insane.
Gosh, how many people were going to take the top position? It's just like boom, boom, boom.
Yes.
And I was like, when Alonso got up there, I'm like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because he's not going to stay up there.
Yeah, it's the last one across the line. It really is the last one across the line. But what I thought was interesting is on their final fast lap, most of them, I was like, everybody's got yellow sectors. It's nobody's going purple. Nobody's even going green. There was a lot of yellow sectors. And I thought, after all of this, are we just it's just going to be this because nobody is going any faster than they were the last time? But yeah, holy moly, that was insane. But I mean, you had the top 3 for the race, all Brits at their home race.
Awesome.
George on pole, Lewis. I thought Lewis was going to get pole. George on pole, then Lewis, then Lando. Hulkenberg. Let's talk about Hulkenberg for a second. We've said he's very good in qualifying. He's good on a 1-lap pace. But, oh my goodness, the whole race, he was, 5th or 6th to start the race?
Yeah.
Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, no, he was 5th. No, wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He was 6th. That's insane. But Mercedes front row lockout. When was the last time that happened?
Oh my God.
That's crazy. It's the first front row for Lewis this year. And it was the first time ever that 3 Brits were in the top 3 of qualifying. And another sad stat for Sergio, out of the 12 races that we have had so far this year, Logan Sargent has out-qualified Perez 7 times. 7 times. 7 times. And Logan will not even have a seat next year. And he is outperforming Perez, or out-qualified him at least 7 times. Can you believe it? But let's talk about the race because, oh my goodness. The rain in and of itself, I feel like I was a stress ball the entire race because it was we start and it had been a little rainy. I mean, maybe drizzly. Then it was sunny before the start. Then they start. And then by lap 18, they're predicting rain again. 2 bands of rain coming through. What in the world?
That was killing me. It's it's going to rain for 5 minutes. Then it's going to stop. No, first it's going to rain for 10. Then it's going to stop. That's but it's going to rain. No, now it's only going to rain for 5, and then off for 10, and then rain for 30. And I'm like, this is, oh my gosh. And then later on when they have their enters on, it's the rain's going to be going on for so many more minutes. And one of the drivers it's not raining.
That was no rain. He goes, there's no rain, mate. There's no rain, mate. And even the commentators are like, well, it is raining, but on the track, it's probably, most of what they're seeing is dry. If you're a Ferrari fan, you know that Charles and Carlos were getting different weather reports, and that definitely made a difference in the tires, which we'll talk about in a second. But staying with the sad Sergio stuff, he started from the pits because he ended up taking a new internal combustion engine, control electronics, and an energy store. So yeah, and he was on inters by lap 20. He was already, I think, down a lap.
Yeah.
At that point. Yeah, he had a 5.9 second pit stop. I mean, I think they don't care anymore. There's nothing he can do at that point. It just is what it is.
No, and he ended up finishing 2 laps back.
Yeah. I think quite a few of them did. There was quite a few, I think, that were 2 down. I think even Charles.
Ocon, Perez, and Zhou.
Oh, okay. So good. Charles was only 1 lap down. Max did end up switching out his floor, but because it was the exact same floor that he used in quali, he did not have any type of penalty. So Perez started in the pits, but Max did not. But they said that that's why he qualified so badly, because he had gone off track, I think, in Q1, and it messed up his floor, and there was holes in the floor and blah, 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 whatever Christian Horner said. But yeah. But I think Max, to me, looked hot and cold. I don't know what you thought, but almost instantly he got past Lando, and then he was falling back. And he was
it's almost like he was just like, oh yeah, go ahead, pass me. Oh yeah, go ahead, pass me. Like there was no defense, or it's just like he just was fighting, and there was no. We didn't hear any reports. We didn't hear much other than later on he talked about tire deck, but. Yeah. Not then. And I'm like, why is he just letting him go by, it seems, or just not fighting so hard that he ends up in a freaking, wreck like last week? But like,
I would say it wasn't even fighting so hard. He didn't fight at all. My literal thought when he let Lando go past him at that point, I was like, is this just payback for what happened in the last race? Like, but I know Max is too competitive for that, so don't take it.
And then Oscar, it's like it was the weirdest thing. And but then to come back, and then at the end, I'm like, then he's fighting at the very end. I'm like, where'd this come from?
Yeah, well, because he was smart. So they're saying when he went in, he was the first car to go in for inters on lap 27. Yep. And the way the radio made it sounded like GP was saying, good call. Like it was Max's call to come in. And that was crucial. Like, I think that was crucial. And then they went on hards. And at that point, it was Lewis and Lando. They both went on softs. And they were driving so hard that their softs, Max's team was reporting to him, both of their front left tires don't look good. And Max was on hard. So, I mean, I think they called the right strategy. One thing Red Bull does really well, I think, is their strategy. And whether it was Max or the engineer or whoever, Hannah, the strategist, like he had stuff where he could fight for it.
Yeah, one of the pictures I did not grab was one of that F1 shared, was one about Lando and like just missing out. It was like their whole strategy and plan just like messed him up and whatnot. Like it was.
Oh my gosh. I know. We could totally talk about that. One thing just to like wrap up on Red Bull is, I mean, Adrian Newey announced he was leaving back in Miami. Red Bull has not been strong since then. And we know that Adrian is not part of, like, as of Miami, he was not part of any meetings, anything like that. The team's taking over. He's doing whatever. I mean, is that a correlation? Is this car not as competitive because Adrian is not there to do the tweaks on it, and every other team is ramping up and making changes? I don't know, but I think that that's kind of interesting. I think it's very interesting that they're fighting for it. And I think it's because Max is a good driver that he's up where he is.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's just me, but somebody please sign Adrian Newey.
One of the rumors, Aston Martin, I would not mind.
I know you would not. You would not, but I know they say they're close, but who knows? Papa Stroll was at the race today. Obviously, I mean Silverstone. All the
Yeah.
teams are based in England. But let's talk about McLaren for a second because my heart breaks for both of those drivers.
Uh,
They really did screw them over with the strategy.
they
Oscar
did.
especially Oscar. I was at the gym after the race and I was listening to the team principal. And if you listen to Lando, if you know Lando at all, he takes everything to heart and blames himself for everything. And sure enough, in all of his post race press conferences, he was taking a lot of the responsibility. But Andreas said, my drivers take responsibility, but that's on us. And we should have won this race and we should have both drivers on the podium. And I don't think he's wrong. They messed up big time. Big time.
They did.
Big time. They still had, I think, the team that scored the most points. But that's got to be so bitter when like we could have won this and have both drivers on the podium.
Yeah.
Instead of just one.
Potentially 1 and 2. Like that's.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, it was sad. It was so sad. But I mean, Lando did do some good racing. Like he got past Max, he got past Lewis. Like that was so exciting. I was cheering for Lando like crazy. Oscar did the same. He overtook George. Then he was right on Lewis, for a little bit. But they waited too long, like whatever lap that was, to change the tires. They only brought Lando in and they left Oscar out there. And it was like, okay, Lando pitted. Then poor Oscar's just trying to get himself around. And when Lando came back around, he was almost catching Oscar. That was how slow Oscar was going on those tires.
He was losing 20 seconds, I think, at that point.
Yes. And it's not a short track. So Lando had gotten all the way around and was like right coming up on Oscar. Like, come on. That is not okay. That is awful. They messed him up big time. Yeah. He was literally fighting for Lando for first place. And after that debacle, he finished 12 seconds back or something. Like, come on. I'm surprised Lando did as well because he had a long pit stop. He had 4.5 seconds there towards the end. So, and they left him out there. So Max and Lewis at the end, when they were going back onto the slicks, they went in on the same lap. And McLaren left Lando out there. And then when they brought him in,
like, come on.
Yep, brought him in. It was a 4.5 second pit stop. So he came out, behind Lewis. It could have been so different. I'm waiting. Lando will have 2 wins this year. That's my thought. I think they are the team that's in the mix, but now we've got Mercedes. Mercedes, I feel like, is back.
They are. And what a day. Do you want to go to the other team to recover Mercedes?
Oh yeah, let's talk about Ferrari really quick because we'll save Mercedes for like the end. They're so fun. Okay, I don't know what's happening with Ferrari. Our upgrades are terrible, and like I don't know. Carlos did much better. Like I said, Charles was on the Imola spec until qualifying and the race today. Carlos, I don't know. He was on. No, maybe was Carlos or Charles on the Spain spec or Imola? I don't know. Anyways, they were on different specs for a minute. Charles actually gained some spots at the beginning of the race, and I thought, nice, here we go. Let's do it. No.
I forget what went wrong. Like he had I think he had a bad pit stop, and then
so it was the inters. It was because they put him too early. Yes, and so there's different things where I've heard that Charles was the one that asked to come in for inters. I've also heard that no, his team told him to come in for inters. His engineer was telling him, we're expecting rain. Carlos's engineer was saying something completely different. Like, we've got 5 minutes, like, hang on, like, it's fine. So yeah, by lap 25, because of those inters, he was down a lap at that point, and his inters wore out super fast because the track was dry. So he went wide at one point. Like it just kept going from bad to worse. And I feel like since Monaco, he's had the worst luck again. Every race, it's something. It's something. Remember last week? Like it's
Yeah.
terrible. Terrible. I don't even know where he finished up. Where did he
He
finish?
finished 14th.
Oh, yeah. And 2 cars were out. So, boo. Carlos, I mean, he kind of
he finished behind Danny, Rick, K-Mag, and Logan.
Ugh, my gosh, we're finishing. Haas out qualified us also. So, but I mean, that's ridiculous. Carlos looked much better, much more comfortable all weekend. He finished what, 5th place today. So he got some points. He also did fastest lap. Yeah. So neither driver is happy with the team.
I love that he did that he went in and did a 3rd pit stop at the end just to get the tires to go get fastest lap.
Yeah. Why not? He was too far behind. He wasn't going to go anywhere else. And he could keep his spot, but why not? Get the point, dude. Get the point. Remember, he missed a whole entire race. Yeah. And when we see the points, we'll talk about something else. But yeah, poor Charles though. When you watch his little post race press conferences, he's over it. He says, "I can't believe I keep saying the same thing over and over. I don't know what to tell you guys." Like it's just terrible. But Williams, okay, Alex Albon once again did not have a great start because he was getting hit like a ping pong.
Yeah.
What do you call that? A pinball. He got hit on turn 3. I think, who was it that went off the track? Oh, Nico. Yeah. Went off the track, came back. Fernando swerved to avoid Nico, hit right into Alex, who bumped his car like this. And then on turn 4, there was nothing Logan could do. He hit the rear end of Alex, but Alex still made it into the points. I think he started 9th and he finished 9th. So good for him. And the best finish of the season for Logan Sargent, finished 11th. 11. That's incredible. I mean, I think it's too late, but he's at least showing out big time. That's good. Really, really good. But Haas, oh my goodness, Haas, boy, were they doing everything right. I swear.
I thought it was really good. They were showing well. I was like, it's nice to see some cool improvement. Funny thing about Haas, just totally side note out of this, they showed the F1 movie preview.
Yeah. Yes.
And I love when lean back there was Gunther.
Yes, I love Gunther. Yes, and they were there doing some filming and stuff today. And Brad Pitt was doing in the background of one of Lando's when they're in the pin after the race. And you can see Brad Pitt coming in as if he were a real driver to come and do his post-race press conferences. So it's kind of funny if you're watching that, you'll see that in the background. I think that's awesome. But I mean, once again, Nico, I think that's back-to-back 6th place finishes for him. Remember back in the day, Haas would bring no upgrades till the very end. They're bringing them as they have them. K-Mag did great. I think he finished outside the points, but he had a really good weekend also. So, I mean, and you're out qualifying, or at least one of your drivers is out qualifying Ferrari. Keep it going, Haas. That's amazing.
It's nice to see the improvement from last year too,
Yeah. And I think last year we thought, ooh, they're going to do pretty well. And it was kind of like it didn't quite turn out that way. But this year, wow, every race, they're there. Alpine. Oh.
Well, Gasly,
Gasly. I mean, he had 50. He changed everything on his engine. He had a 50-place grid drop because he changed everything, but we only have 20 places, so that's where he started. It would be kind of funny if they made him do 20, and then the next race you start.
Put up a map. Did you see that? Somebody put that at one of the fan groups and put a map of Silverstone. They put all the way back, and this said here's the 1 through 18, and then here's where Perez is in the pits, and then here's where Gasly is supposed to start. It was like around the corner.
Yes, I think they should make him do. You start 20th this race, you start 20th next race, and then you start at least you get a 10-place grid drop for the next race. Like it shouldn't be all or nothing. But so he didn't drive in FP1. He has a 50-place grid penalty. Doesn't really go out in qualifying in Q1, right? I think he either totally just sat in his car or maybe he went out a little bit, but that was it. And then on the formation lap today, he has a gearbox issue after they replaced the entire thing and he had a 50-place grid drop. He has a gearbox issue and doesn't even start the race.
Which means they'll have to probably, if they replace it, he might have a penalty in the next race because they've already
Yeah. Can you believe? Can you believe? And then poor Esteban. Here is where, I feel so badly for him. We know he's not the team's favorite. we know he's leaving the team.
No.
But during qualifying, his engineer, the team told him to abort his fast lap, and he did. And he obviously did not make it out of Q2. And he was asking his engineer when he came back into the pits, like, why? What happened? And I don't think we know exactly why. I don't know if it was because they thought the checkered flag had gone. But you completely screwed him over. Absolutely. That's unacceptable on the Alpine team part. You at least let Esteban try to get points. You guys are down there towards the bottom. You need as many points as you can get. So
absolutely.
Why? That was horrible. Absolutely horrible. And he might have had front wing damage, so who knows? Stake, I don't know. Joe, like you said, was down pretty far. He came in super early, right before the rain started, to get medium tires. I think he started on softs.
Yeah, by lap 19, he'd had his second pit stop, where some people in lap 19 were on their first pit stop. So he had his second pit stop by lap 19, which I thought was interesting because Joe ended up with 4 pit stops in the race.
Ridiculous. That's another driver that's not going to have a seat next year, and I think not all of that is his fault. Not all of that is his fault. But let's talk Mercedes, because back to back
Mercedes gear on. Oh my god!
I'm surprised you don't. Back-to-back wins for Mercedes. Are they back? I think they're back.
Yeah,
I think they're back, and I don't think somebody was saying it's not just their front wing. They added something else underneath that nose that kind of really pulls like the downforce, like that car, the bottom just slides across the grid. And oh my goodness gracious, like, wow, they block out the front row, back-to-back wins. Lewis with his first win in 2.5 years. I don't know. He said,
they said 900 and something days. It was just under 1,000 days.
Crazy. And poor George, like, he started off so well. He had a great start. When it started to rain, though, he got super cautious, and that let Lewis get like right up on him. And as soon as he had DRS, Lewis was not scared of the slipperiness, went right past George. Boop. Right past George, which set a record for the most laps led at a single venue. So when he took that spot from George early on, he set one record right there, which is very cool.
Awesome.
But then both of them went off the track at one point. Scared the heck out of me, because I was like, no. And then that let Lando get up into second. So, I mean, talk about great stuff. But lap 34, out of the blue. I didn't think that George was having any issues. Did you?
No, there was no report of it. It's just out of the blue. It was like, it was so interesting is I had you know how you get delays and I get delays, and my laptop was delaying. My phone was the live timing on the F1 app was about 20 seconds ahead of the actual video on my laptop. And I heard the audio on my phone say that retire the car. And I'm like, what?
I know.
And then it came up on the TV and I'm like, what? Like, what's going on?
I
Why?
cannot believe it. So they said it was a suspected water system issue. And you could see George get out of the car, and there's a picture of him just like sitting there, and the saddest face ever. It looks like he's sitting on a curb. This is what it reminded me of. And like a little kid, like waiting for the parade or something, and it just like doesn't ever come. He just is, I think
He was
not,
driving
I don't think
such
he was
a
trying to,
great race, and then just to be suddenly just yanked, like the carpet. That's one of those literal carpet yanked out from underneath your feet, like
yeah,
out of the blue, just gone.
of the blue. I think he could have fought Lewis for the lead. I think he could have fought for back-to-back wins because that was lap 34 out of 52 laps. I was starting to think, like, could George go back to back? Like, not only did George win his second race ever last week, could he literally go back to back in race wins right now? And then poof, gone, 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 gone. It was so sad. But I do think Mercedes made some good moves. When like he and Max went in on lap 39, like I said, at the same time they went in. Lando came out of the pit behind Lewis. So Lewis was winning the race at that point. And with his win at 39 years old, by the way, first, like what'd you say was like 900 and something days since his last win? He has the most. He passes Michael Schumacher. He was tied with him. Now he passes Michael Schumacher for the most wins at one venue. I was so like, he was so emotional on his lap around. Oh, when he cried with his dad. Oh my gosh. And his mom, I was like,
you could hear it in his voice on the radio there at the end. Like you could just hear it. Like he was just, this meant a lot to him.
This meant a lot. And I loved how even on the podium, they took Bono. So they've been together, how many years? More than 10 years. That's his engineer. And I honestly think he was trying to make Bono stand on the number one step with him. Like if you watch, he pulls Bono's shoulders and like stops him, but Bono kind of turns real quick and he just keeps walking. But I think he would have wanted him on the step with him. They did this together. He knows.
Yeah.
He knows they've been through very good times and they've been through some very hard times the last couple of years. But the emotion, and honestly, George coming down, I mean, as soon as Lewis parked the car in Parc Ferme, George was right there. Lewis was crying in his helmet and George came up and shook his hand, and George posted something for him. I will say the Red Bull admin on social media posted a congratulations for him. I think a lot of people are genuinely happy for him.
Yeah, I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
And I love it. He's never cried from a win. That's just awesome.
And to do it at home, like that, he loves that track. He loves the people there. Wow. That's all I can say.
The day
I voted for him driver of the day. I was like, I don't even care what happens at the end. I think there was like 6 laps left when I voted. And I was like, Lewis is getting my vote. He's getting my vote. And he won. I mean, finally. Good job, Lewis. That's all I can say.
Look at that podium. It was so neat. Get to hear the British national anthem and the German national anthem. Just like different sounds and
And 2 of the 3 Brits on the podium. I mean, poor George, he probably could have been up there. Max getting second. So, I mean, he did pretty well to take over.
But even look at that top 10. And got Williams in there and Yuki got a point.
Yeah, Yuki got a point. Both Aston Martins got points. And then Haas again with points. Amazing. Yeah, let's go to the next one. Look at this. Okay, Sainz only 4 points behind Charles. That's why Sainz was getting, I mean, he wants to get up there, right? And he missed a whole entire race and he's 4 points behind Charles. That's how sad. But look at Perez down a spot, 118. Russell and Hamilton are 1 point difference of each other and 7 points behind Perez. Like, holy cow.
Yeah, there's a good chance, like you said, that he's not going to be able to catch it up.
Yeah.
It's just that's a.
Yeah. And Max is, I mean, what's that?
I was going to say, look at that. I mean, it's even Norris or Verstappen is not a huge difference. I mean, there's a difference, but not like last year.
Yeah. It's not like last year. And when you think how many points they get for winning, like, Lando getting another win. I mean, Max is every time he's on the podium, he's adding to that total. But I mean, Lando's still, it's not out of there. We're only just about halfway through. This was 12.
Yep.
So that's not bad at all. Not at.
And then the team standings, I think that one's a pretty cool one. I look at Ferrari, McLaren, how close they are, and it's a battle.
And this is why it's important that Charles stopped having bad luck, because just like Verstappen is really the main reason that they have 373 points. Imagine if Perez was in the mix. Imagine if Charles these last 5 races was more in the mix. I mean, not that I'm not saying he hasn't had points, but yeah, McLaren is constantly, they were 3rd and 4th today. They are the top scoring constructor the last few races. That's
amazing.
Amazing.
I just love seeing Haas with 27 points. I mean,
27. They are
solid up on the 7th, like solid. Like I think between them and RB, there's going to be a fight for that right there in the middle.
They're gunning for 6th place because, I mean, with Yuki getting a point, that's just 1 point. But if Nico keeps getting like 6th place, 7th place, and the RBs are either finishing outside the points or with 1 point, they are going to catch them in no time.
No time.
Absolutely. And then, Alex had a point today. So, I mean, he's trying. Kick Sauber's still 0 points. I mean, that's got to suck.
That's going to suck so bad. And I noticed when we were doing the overall driver standings and whatnot that because it was just performance, because they adjust you when you're tied, it's by performance. And so Botas was moved to the bottom of the list. He's now the lowest of the zeros. So all the zeros, the bottom 0.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
That's so hard. Oh my goodness. I mean, but still, I am not mad at all about these races. This is amazing. We've got Hungary, not next week, but the week after that. Then we've got summer break, I think is right after that. And then we've got Monza at the end of August. And I hope we have a race like this. Like, I loved our race in Spain, but Spain was not like this race.
We have Belgium before the summer break. So it's Hungary, then Belgium, and then the summer break.
Oh, so then Monza's the first race after the summer break?
No, then the Netherlands is after the summer break.
How long is the summer break?
Just 4 weeks. So July 19th to the 21st is Hungary. July 26th to the 28th is Belgium. Then they're off until August 23rd, which is the Netherlands.
Oh, okay. Okay. Oh, well, Sergio really doesn't have much time.
No, because that's Belgium
together. 2 weeks. Ay, ay, ay. Oh, Sergio.
That way, that's when it's scary. It's just 2 races.
2 races. I mean, if they're serious, and we know what they did to Nick DeVries last year, so they have a lot of thinking to do, though, because part of the reason we think that he got the extension is the money that he brings into that team. And we know he sells merch like crazy. He's got a great fan base. There's definitely some thinking to do there. Yowza.
It's gonna be interesting.
It is.
We didn't cover how we were doing. We just right into it. So I hope you've had a good week up until the race.
Yes.
We go right into it because it was such an exciting race.
It was beyond exciting. I was up off I was yelling. My dog came around, was like, "What's?" And then
Robbie's like, "We should have gone to Silverstone." I'm like, "Yeah, but it was raining." That was exciting.
Who would have thought? Oh my goodness! I'm sure they'll sell tickets next year. That's for sure. They will. They won't be not sold out. Yeah.
Well, we have a week off. So like you pointed out, where there's no race next weekend. So I don't know. Maybe there'll be stuff going on. We'll have something to talk about. Maybe not.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I'm sure there will be. Maybe a signs announcement. We'll see.
Maybe signs, Newey, maybe the other seats. We'll figure it out. All right. Is there anything else? I think we covered it all.
Yeah, I think we did.
Awesome. Well, thanks a lot. We'll see you guys soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please subscribe and leave a rating and a review. To stay up to date with She Loves the Grid and get all the behind-the-scenes content, you can follow us on Instagram at She Loves the Grid and on Facebook at facebook.com/She Loves the Grid. Thank you for joining us for the ride this week.